So far we've learned how to bring data into Power BI from using different data sources. We've tried almost all of these data sources, in our first class. Okay, then we later settled for the old data feed where we pasted our link to get the Northwind data using the old data feed. The link was shared as well, and that's how we got all of these tables. I'm just going to go into Power Query and let's see if there's any more work that needs to be done here. Okay, I don't need this query because I have a date table already. So I think we're just using this for illustration purpose. Okay, and this as well, I don't need this. I made so many blank queries. Okay, all right. So yes, we've cleaned all of these. We've cleaned the categories table. It's looking ready to use. We've cleaned the employees table as well. And we've made sure to look at the data types as well to ensure we have the right data types. And the steps that we took to arrive at the last stage of things are all recorded here. And as we can see, they are also recorded in the advanced editor. Replace value is the last step. Replace value is the last step. So to some degree, we understand how the advanced editor works and how we can use it to create a new query from the beginning, from scratch. Okay. Then we had these other details and orders, and we noticed that orders table, other details was having all of the product information, which we also need in the orders table. So what we did was we merged these two tables. And because we have merged, we disabled loading this. We did that by right-clicking and unticking this. This was checked before, we unchecked it. So what that means is when we close our Power Query, this doesn't need to come with us into Power BI. And that's because the contents of it that we need has already been brought into this table. So there's no need to do what you will call overload. Okay. And these last columns here from, I believe, product ID are the ones we brought in, when we merged these together. We didn't bring other ID in because we already have that other ID in these tables. Again, there's no need to bring in columns that are not necessary to bring in. Okay. So we had to do some enrichment work on this yesterday. We noticed that all we had was just product ID, unit price, quantity, and discount. Okay. Then we don't have what the total amount they paid, or what you would call the total sales was. We didn't have it. So we had to start, creating more columns and doing calculations. Okay. And we're going through these steps because we said we want to do it step by step so that everybody would follow. We won't have anyone lost in the process of trying to get this right. So what we did first was, since we have unit price and the quantities that were bought, we just multiplied these two columns together. And what that looks like is I'm selling this product for £7. 2 quantity was bought, so which means this particular customer paid £14, 7 times 2. The same goes for the next row, 19 times 24, and so on and so forth. And we did make sure to validate by checking with our calculator to be sure, that the figures we got were actually right. Okay. Now, but there is a discount column to consider. Okay, we had this as percentage, which I changed to decimal number because 0.2 is the same as what we had as 20%, and 0 is still the same as 0. Okay. And what that means is Yes, this is the sales amount, but some of these people were given discounts. So we need to calculate how much they paid after the discount was removed, from their actual the amount before discount. Okay. And what we did then was we multiplied. We take away. We did a takeaway. So this is the sales before discount. We found the discount amount. So what is 20%, for example, for row 2? What is 20% of 456? That gave us that. What is 0% of 14? That gave us 0, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this was the discount that was removed. This was what they normally would pay before you apply discount. This was the discount amount, and the final amount that was paid for each of these products, or for each of these order or role, was then that you would take away the discount given from the sales before discount. Okay, so it's just your maths just broken down into different steps to make it easy. And for those that can easily calculate it without going through all of those steps, fine. You can go on and do it the way you understand. Again, I always say that how some people would interpret and try to answer certain questions may be different from how some other people would. And that's because we see things differently. What matters at the end of the day is that our answers are not wrong, because this is logical, it's maths. Okay, it shouldn't be that because we are interpreting differently and approaching the question differently, you are getting 16 for the first row and I'm getting 14. We still must arrive at the same answer. Okay, because at the end of the day, 1 + 1 should be 2. However, whatever method that was used to get there in the end. Okay, so that's total sales, that we have right there. And we did say yesterday that, okay, we have total sales. What if we need to look at profit? There isn't anything within the tables that we brought forward to give us an idea of what the cost price was, talk less of being able to calculate the profit. And we said, in that case, we could, that's if it is needed for the report. If this report is just a sales analysis report and nothing to do with profit or cost price, then we are fine. But if it is, then it's our job to go and, ask questions around any data that we don't currently have. Okay. And what that would mean could be that we go back into that old database, and check if there is recent sources, and check if there is any table there that could point us in that direction. Okay, I'm looking at recent sources here, and I can't really find Power BI plan the tracking. No, it's not giving me the old data. So if someone can please, if someone can get the link for me, and put it in the chat so that we go back into that old data, not window data feed, and look through the tables there and see if we can find something to give us the cost price. That would be really helpful. Okay. While we do that, I'll carry on. We checked through the products already as well. And let's see. Is there anything in products that gives us, okay, there's unit price in product as well. Let's look at this together. Okay, I have unit price in orders table. Okay, and for product ID 52, the unit price is 7. Let's see if what we have in products on the products table is actually that as well. So if I look for product ID 52, okay. Okay, so the unit price is still 7 here. and there is no other price to say the cost price. There is no cost price here. So that's not helpful. So the unit price we have here is still the unit price that's in the other table. I would have, if it was different, we would have just adopted it as the unit cost price. That's what I was trying to look at doing there. Okay. So, and we have the regions. This is all we have for region. We have the shippers information, the suppliers, those that supplied. We still have a few gaps within our data, especially around region. Okay, so if we can't solve what this region is about, we might need to forego it for now so that we move forward. Again, customers as well. We have our dates table. Okay, have we gotten that? Has any link been dropped in the chat for me at all yet? The old data that we have on the SoftNet data platform, that's the one that we use to bring this in. Please, let's help me to retrieve it and put in our chat here. Okay. While we do that, I'm going to close and apply this. Okay. So every change that has been made has been brought into the Power BI space now. And we can see, ignore this other untitled, but this is for another class. But we can see that Power Query has been closed and the changes made within Power Query has been applied here. Now, immediately you bring your data in from Power Query into Power BI. You want to check through these three icons at the top right, top left corner here. We have this one, that's a graph icon. It's the report view. It's where we are at the moment, the Canva place where you can create your different charts, okay? And then we have the table view, where you can view your data, your tables in the form of tables that they are. And if you observe, when we are on the report view, look at all the buttons on top here that you can see: home, insert, modeling, view, and all of these subsets, so to say. But when you come to table view, that sort of changes up a little. Now we have the file, the home, help, external tools, and table tools. Table tools is highlighted because we've clicked on one of the tables. And of course, there are tools here that you can use. You can create new measure. You can create quick measure. You can add new column here, and you can create new table, okay, as well. Those are the table tools that we have. And the name of the table that we are currently clicking on is categories. That's why that is there for us, okay? And you may want to ask, what is measure? Okay, so when I'm here hovering on this, you see the dialog box that comes forward. It says, write a DAX expression that calculates a value from your data. So this has got to do with the calculations that you do, and the formula used. Is it formula that I'll call it? The language is a better word to use. The language of Power BI in writing these formulas or these calculations is called DAX, DAX, which stands for Data Analysis Expression, DAX. So we need to take note of that, okay? And you can create yours, or you can use the quick measure. You can ask, sort of leverage on the quick measure to use sort of, how do I explain that now? Use the help within Power BI. to help you create the ones that you need to create in case you don't know how to even kickstart it at all. But we are going to start with new measure, doing simple calculations. It works like you would use your Excel. It's like writing formulas in Excel, using some average and, standard mathematical functions like that. Okay. And yeah, as you click on each table, you see the customers is now here. You can see the table, what it looks like, and so on and so forth. You can see the dates table that we created as well. Okay. Okay. And then the third one is the model view. This is where your relationships are created. Immediately you bring the tables in, Power BI tries to automatically create relationships by itself. You will just look at your tables and sense, okay, this should be related to this. By this should be related to this by this. Sometimes it doesn't get it right. Sometimes it does, but that's not what you want. And you might want to delete and redo it, by yourself. Okay.
Please, how did you get here?
So when we brought the tables in, we were here.
Yeah.
Then we
where the relationship is, where you click on relationship was I'm asking.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm starting from my explanation from the beginning now.
Okay.
We brought it in, we landed here.
Yes.
The next one is the table view. We saw how the tables are seen as tables.
Yep.
And then this one here, the
third
yes. one, where it says model view. Model view. Can see
the drawing is there.
The drawing is there to show tables linked to each other, lines drawn from one table to another. That's what that icon is trying to show us. And that's what we have here. So each of our tables are now put in boxes. Okay, I think it's good to explain. So for example, if we start from the first table, which is the categories table, where is it? Okay. The categories table is here. Okay. And there is a name to that this is called. I can't remember can't remember the name of I should look through my notes and tell you. But yes, this is the categories table. And this is just sort of showing us the structure of that table, that the name of it is categories. And these are the columns that we have in it. We have the category ID, the category name, and the description. So rather than show it as table like you have in the table view, exactly what you have here is now being shown in, let's say we put them in boxes. Okay. And we are now seeing that, okay, within this categories table, these are the columns that we have
in a list view.
We can call it list view, but there's actually a name for it that's gone over my head now. But I believe it's written somewhere where I can retrieve it. But yeah, if list view works, why not? Okay, so the table is, the name of the table is up there, and the different columns that are within it are listed underneath. Okay, so we can sort of see a form of structure to it. This is the structure that this is taking. Okay, and the same goes for employees table. We see the employees table and all the different columns, different information that we have within that employees table. Okay, and the same goes for orders, dates, and each one of them. Now, this is where, again, one of the things we learned when we were going through our slides. Remember when we were talking about fact table and dimension table? Okay, this is where it becomes very relevant and very important to remember. Okay, we said fact table. What did we call fact table? Who can remember or remind us? What are fact table? What are dimension tables? How do you know which is which?
Is fact table not the primary key?
Okay. I like the fact that we said primary key. Let's go back here. Table view. Okay. Now these IDs, the ID for each table are keys. For example, in categories table, we have category ID, which is a primary key within this table. Okay. And the purpose of it, because it's unique, the purpose of it is to form relationships with other tables. The same goes for customers, customer ID. The same goes for, I think arguably we can say the same goes for dates, because the actual dates are unique. It's a day, one day represents a row, and it's not repeated, you know. Employee ID is a primary key there. Product ID is a primary key there. Region ID is a primary key there. Shippers, I believe shippers would have their own, yeah, shipper ID is a primary key here. And then supplier ID, they also have their primary key. So each one of those ones have a primary key. If you observe, I omitted orders. I flew over orders and came on the product. I didn't come to orders first. Now, orders normally, the other IDs normally would be unique, okay? But because we did a merge, we brought the products in, then we had a split. So our other ID is not unique, but that's not very relevant right now. What's relevant is that each of the primary keys that we saw on all of those other tables are now residing in our orders table. And when they reside in the other tables, you see customer ID can be found here, employee ID can be found here. We can say date as well. Shipper ID, I believe. Yeah, shipper ID can be found here. Product ID can be found here as well. Okay, so when you have that kind of scenario, this, for example, this customer ID now becomes a foreign key when it is on orders table. The same goes for employee ID. It's now a foreign key here. Okay. The same goes for shipper ID. Shipper ID is now a foreign key here. So all of the IDs that were primary in their own original table, when you find them elsewhere, they become foreign keys. And the idea of, naming keys like that is to form these relationships that we now see. Okay. I'm going to make an arrangement that helps us to see how this relationship is, the direction of this relationship, so that helps us. Okay. What's the best way to arrange this so that we can see what I'm trying to show us? Okay, there are some relationships that I need to delete, actually. They have no business relating to each other. Okay, so I think it's best for me to delete everything, and let's show it from the beginning, so that again we'll understand it. I'll delete all of them. Yes. I'm just right-clicking on each one, and then this comes up and we delete. Okay, so right-click, delete. Because we are going to do this together, yes. What else? Right-click and delete. That has been deleted. Yes. Yes. What else? I think yes, that's all. Okay. So we have all these tables now. And we are going to do a quick class activity to name which one would you call a fact table, and which one is a dimension table. Okay. So we have the orders, then we have Okay, I'm going to put this in the middle and let the rest surround it. Okay. So what I'm forming is that we have the others in the middle, okay? And we have all of the other ones surrounding it. So now I ask, which would be your facts table, and which are your dimension tables, and why? I believe we screenshot or we were taking notes when we did our class. So we can quickly look through the notes or research Google, ask Google what are facts table, what are dimension tables, and see if whatever you find out helps to put this in the right, helps you to categorize this. Okay, so we've got the next 3 minutes. I'm giving us the next 3 minutes to quickly research what facts table are, what dimension tables are, so that we can know you know which of these would fall into fact table and which would fall under dimension table. Yeah, 3 minutes, and then we'll be back by 1938. That's by 7:38. We'll be back. All right. Yes, we are back. What did we find out? Do we have any answers? which would be your fact table, which would be your dimension table. Okay. Are we still in class, Abi, where I've gone?
We are here.
So what did we find out?
I'm very gentle.
No, don't be gentle right now. I don't need gentility at all. Okay, what did we find out?
My mouth is not strong. I don't know this one.
Let me stop share and quickly.
I shall know that fact table, of course, they contains the key elements, and while the dimension tables are is this secondary key or it's
No.
not straight in my head from what I have read, so that's why I'm just keeping quiet.
Let's get something clear. Tables are not the same as keys. Keys reside within the table, like we saw earlier.
Yes.
The primary key resides within
a table.
Table. The secondary key also resides within a table. Okay. But there was something we said. I'm trying to look for the slides that we used for class. If I can find it quickly. So that until we understand that, we won't really understand how these relationships are forming. And data analysts. Okay. I'm just gonna share again and hopefully okay, here we go. Plus. And it would be on slide. Let's see, yes. Okay. Okay. Now, see what we explained about dimension and fact table. We said that dimensions are for descriptive contexts, that dimensions provide the who. So which of those tables?
Fact table are quantitative.
Thank you. Thank you. So we've got to be able to marry the theoretical part of our learning with the practical. If not, then it wouldn't really gel. So
I shall remember something, but like I said, I couldn't really substantiate it. It was all messed up in my head.
Right. So we need it. Is it clear now? We need it to,
I think it will stay now.
So any of those tables that's giving us a who, a what, a where, a when, a why, and how, those are your dimension tables. And then like you said, the fact table is where the quantity that we are measuring resides in. Okay. Yeah. So it says facts are measurements that result from a business process. Now, if we go back to our work now, which of these tables is talking about who?
Hold on. Suppliers.
Yes.
Talking about who?
Suppliers, they can stand for who? Customers
will stand for who as well, yes. Employees
are who?
Well, who?
Your date table is the when.
Yeah, it's talking about time, yes?
Yes. And the what will be anything around the products. For example, categories is
Category.
categorizing products.
Yeah.
And products is products.
Yeah.
So those are your whats.
Oh.
And the where, we're talking region for the where.
Wow.
You see? So what are we measuring? We are measuring total sales, which is residing within which table?
Order.
Orders table. So orders table then becomes your
My
fact,
quantitative, which is
the
facts.
facts table, exactly. And that's why you have all of those foreign keys residing in it. I mean, one should ask oneself that why is it that others have only one key, which is primary to them, and Mr. Man, the facts, Mr. Facts is carrying customer ID alongside the employee ID, alongside product ID, you know, alongside all of those other IDs. Because it is central, you know, to the work at hand. That is where the business event happened. And okay, if we look at it like this is where the business event happened, and this is where everyone that the business concerns, this is where they all meet on the other table. Because employee attended to somebody, customer came and bought something, dates showing us when all of this happened, the suppliers supplied what we are talking about, products are there that were actually bought. So it's like the fact table is where they are all doing the meeting, where they are all meeting, their meeting point for all of them. But in each of their circular or individual tables, they are only dimension. They are only there for lookup. They are only there for lookup means information purpose. Okay, I need information about the categories of products that we have within our business. I come to the category site table to check it out. I need information about a particular customer. I'll get it. That's why it's called a dimension or a lookup. I'll get it from the customer's table. Okay, but if it's anything to do with the orders and sales that were made and all of that, I'm getting that from the other from the others table. Okay, but every other table there, and that's not to say that you can't have more than one fact table. You can have more than one fact table, but in this case, we have only one fact table, and every other table is a dimension table, and they are all going to relate to it. We are going to form, each one of them is going to form a relationship with this fact table, each one of them. And that's why this particular table has got the different foreign keys, because it needs to form a relationship with the customer's table. It has the customer ID residing within it. It needs to form a relationship with the employee's table. It has the employee ID. It needs to form a relationship with the date. It's got the dates. It needs to form a relationship with the product. It's called the product ID there, and so on and so forth. Okay, does that make sense? Make it clearer?
Yes, 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 you just did.
Okay, so now how do we now manually form this? Because we deleted all the relationships, so we need to start forming it. Okay, and this is straightforward. So I'm just going to click on employee ID and drag it and drop it on top of this employee ID here. Yeah. So like so. And we'll watch, okay. And then we'll have this box come up saying a new relationship is about to be formed. These are the tables that we are relating to each other, which is true. And it's highlighted the columns we are merging, we are dropping on top of each other. And it's saying that cardinality, which is the type of relationship, is one to many.
Yeah.
That is, employee ID on the employees table is appearing once. That's why it's a primary key there. But it's appearing many times on the other table. Okay, that's where one on here to many is coming from. Okay, and we are just going to filter, do a single filter, cross filter direction in one direction for this one. And we have the make this relationship active, yes. So I'll save this, that's exactly what I'm trying to achieve. And you see, that's joining line comes back. Okay. And when it comes back, you see, it's written one on employees.
Employee and severally.
And yeah, and many. This star stands for many on the other one, meaning that if an employee ID 1 is appearing once here, it's actually appearing more than once on the other table. That's the meaning of one to many. Okay. And if we look at customers as well, we have customer ID here. We have customer ID here. I'm just going to do the same, drag and drop on top of there. And that comes up again. And the same scenario happens. Okay. And we save it. Okay. And I think there is something on suppliers. If there isn't, then we'll forget it. We only have shippers, nothing on suppliers. That's fine. Okay. So I'll ignore this for now. Maybe bring it down and bring the one that's relevant up. I don't think I'll use this region either, but okay. So we have shipper. You see how you can just be dragging and playing around with this. So the best way, again, is to watch what we've done in class today. Listen well, practice, practice, practice. Make a mistake, go back and redo it. You know, and the whatever notes that you made in class when we were, learning with those slides, it's good to go back to them. Okay, shipper ID here, shipper ID here. Okay, so I'm just gonna, did I pick that? No. Shipper ID, click on that. And it's the same thing, one-to-many. We aim for one-to-many relationship. Sometimes that's not what you get, but that's what we would normally aim for. Product ID here as well. Okay, product ID. Okay, again, the same thing. I'm gonna save it. And date table. I think I'll use the other. We've got quite a few dates there, and I'm just gonna use the other dates for now, so that we don't get too bamboozled with too many information.
What did you use? What did you use?
Other table, other dates.
Oh, dates, other dates. Okay.
Yes, yeah. Other dates is more relevant to the work we want to do, not the other dates. Okay. And we can sometimes you may need to analyze based on the other dates as well. When we get to that sort of scenario, we'll deal with it. But for now, we'll take our baby steps. And I think there's region, now supplier is not really occurring on our fact table. That's fine. So these two, we won't be analyzing by them until we find a solution to them. Okay. Now the kind of model that we have formed is what they call the star schema.
How about categories?
Categories too, I didn't find it here, but actually, okay, we won't be forming a star schema anymore. Categories is not directly right. I think the same will go for region as well. Now, categories is not directly on our facts table. I can't see it, but it is on products. We have linked products to orders. Okay, so these categories will be linked to this here.
Okay.
That's how that would work. So as this is communicating to this is communicating to this.
Yes.
We can still do our analysis. And this is showing that the direction of filtering that's happening is happening from categories to products and from products to orders. Okay. And I did say about not using these two before, but if we find, like, I think on customers table, there is region, but is there region ID? So if we can find region ID somewhere else, we can actually link it to it as
Link it
well.
to.
Yeah, and use. And the same goes for suppliers. Okay. But the long and short of tonight is just for us to see how this relationship works, the concepts of primary key and foreign key, and how that marries into what is your fact table and what is your dimension table, you know, and how that marries into the different relationships that you are forming and the different schema that we are forming. This, I was going to form a star schema with this, but we can't call this a star schema anymore because we now have, for example, categories is branching out here, you know, branching out and not directly linking to the orders table. So for that purpose, this we will call this what we call a snowflake. We'll bring more diagrams on the next week to explain, you know, what everything I've just said now about star schema and snowflake, what that is about, and how your analysis is affected, you know, or affected, however you choose to run your data model. But when we say we're forming a data model and all of that, this is exactly what it is, you know, this is exactly what it is. So all of these lines is just how you're going to be filtering, you know, and dicing through your measures as you create your measure. Okay, we may decide to look at maybe freight. Maybe it's this freight that we want to really analyze how much was spent, or if it's the quantity of products that was bought, or you see there's quite a lot of measurements here, quantities here that we can measure, okay? Or total sales, you know, it could be total sales, it could be quantity of products that was bought, it could be the freight amount that was paid, you know, in different ways that we could look at that. But yes, that's all we've got time for, you know, for today. Do we have any questions or anything that we need to run through again next week at all?
I've been very busy, so maybe by the time I try my hands this weekend, I will have questions. Right now, I don't have any.
Okay, that's fine.
We can still repeat this modeling section next week.
Okay, no problem. We'll go over it again so that it's repetition is always part of how we learn anyway. It's important to repeat and repeat so that it sticks with us all. Okay, no problem. All right, but the concept of fact, I'm going to still take us back to, because we have to get to a point where everybody understands exactly what it is with facts table, what it is with dimension table, and what it is with primary key and foreign key. That's how all of this would really make sense. So our assignment would be to actually read up and understand those well, because that's where we will start from next week, Monday, before we get into this, so that we can bring everything home very well. Okay. All right, people. I think we've done a lot already today. Let's have a good evening, everyone. Prof, you did not say anything today. We didn't hear you. Professor Azim, sir.
I'm learning from you, ma. I'm learning. I'm
learning.
I'm learning again. Yes. Thank you.